Hello, crafty ones, and welcome back to another episode of The Crafty Witch. Today, we are going to craft a sigil for enlightenment. This is a sad day, but I'm trying not to be overwhelmed by it. And I am trying to put as much energy as I can into what I feel are the right thoughts to have on this day and the right actions and intentions that I, as a witch, must take. So the first thing is to talk a little bit about sigils and why they're powerful and what they do, and then talk about how to craft one. A sigil is an abstract image that you create to express an intent. I have chosen I embody enlightenment for my intention. This isn't the enlightenment of Eastern meditative traditions. It is the enlightenment of the Age of Reason, or the Age of Enlightenment, which was an 18th century movement that valued logic, scientific inquiry, and rational thought. Couldn't we benefit from all those going forward? While Voltaire and John Locke contributed to this philosophy, it's Thomas Paine that I think of most. He was the author of Common Sense. I'm just going to rewrite it. Bolder letters and not an emphasis on the words anymore. See, we're beginning to extract it. Now, the next thing we have to do is derive the unique consonants. That means getting rid of the vowels first. So I'm just going to cross off all that I consider vowels. I do not always consider the Y to be a vowel, and A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, sometimes not. I choose to say not. So I and E, O, another E does the I, the E, and the E. Okay, so I've got the consonants left, but I only need the unique ones, meaning each one only occurs one time, no matter how often it is used in my statement of intention. All right, so let's go with there. So we have M, B, D, Y, N, L, G, H, T, and I think that's it, because we have an N already, we have an M already, we, as I said, have an N already, and a D already. Okay, so MBDY NLGHT is our sigil for embodiment. That's the unique consonants, and these unique consonants are considered essentially the root form of your intention, the active part of it. Now, just to make it a little more abstract, we're going to use this table to translate from letters to numbers. And I will be circling the letters as I go. It's just a double check that I haven't used something already. And also I may look at some patterns in the meaning as well. So the first one we need is M, which relates to 5. Then we have B, which relates to 2. We have D, which is 4. Y, 1. N, 6. L, 4 again, but that's okay. The numbers do not have to be unique. L, we did, okay. G, 7. H, 8. And T, another 4, okay? So the numbers for this intention of I embody enlightenment are 5, 2, 4, 1, 6, 4, 7, 8, 4. And I just am looking at the distribution of the numbers here. And there's two things I noticed, that 4 occurs 3 times. And as I recall, and I've studied a little numerology, but not a great deal, 4 is the practical number. This is action, this is doing, it's kind of no frills. And then what we don't have any use of use of it at all is 3. 3 is the artistic thing. So I'm getting the impression that this sigil needs to be fairly plain, not too artistic, and that's how I should view my approach to I embody enlightenment. All right, so first of all, we start at 5. I'm just going to put a small dot here and then draw a circle. That indicates the place where we've begun. We go from 5 to 2. Just drawing in straight lines, as straight as I can draw them. We're going from 2 to 4. Not too straight, is it? That's okay. We're going from 4 to 1. From 1 to 6. From 6 back to 4. From 4 to 7. From 7 to 8. And from 8 to 4 again. All right, I really drew a terrible line on that one. I wanted them all to meet in the same place, so let me just erase and do that over. There we go. That was more what I had in mind. And that's my last line. And I draw a bar across it to indicate the end. So the sigil appears to be this shape. I like that. I think it speaks to me. It reminds me of sails in the wind, sails on a clipper ship, perhaps. It reminds me of, coming to a point of focus, but definitely looking at all the options that surround. So this is going to be the sigil that I will then copy from this template onto a better piece of paper. And even though we're not supposed to be into 3s and being all artistic about it, I am going to draw the sigil on a piece of paper that has a colored background. And I will do that with just some very simple watercolor techniques. We're not being artistic. We're not going to paint a painting. We're just going to apply color to the page. So let's get started on that. I'm just going to do a simple wet in wet watercolor technique. So I am filling the page with more or less a rectangle of water. You may or may not be able to see it. You should see a little glare. And then I'm going to drop into it various colors. I'm choosing them instinctively. And I'm just puddling them around in various ways. Not really saying anything with them. Just using a little green. I'm feeling compelled to think of the earth as I do this. And then just because I can, I'm going to take a little bit of salt and distribute it over the painting. This is fairly coarse and uneven salt. This is actually handmade salt I did last summer. I collected gallons and gallons of seawater and then dried it into salt. And yes, I would do it again, and maybe I'll take you along this time. I don't live near the sea, but I drove there, and then we need to let this dry. I'm going to continue with other backgrounds. I don't know which one I'm actually going to use on the sigil, but we will see. I let the backgrounds dry overnight just to be sure that they were fully dry. And now I need to brush the salt off. Some of it comes off by hand, others I'll have to apply. I'm going to apply a cloth to the whole thing because it's pretty dry. The intention is to remove enough of the salt so that the paper is smooth enough to draw the sigil on. Now I've got to choose one. And once I do, I'll show you the best way to transfer the sigil from the template to the paper. I never could decide which one I liked best, so I ended up writing the sigil on all 4 backgrounds. The way I do that is I just transfer the dots at the end of the lines to the paper, pencil in a version, then ink it. Using my fountain pen is not always successful. When I've used salt on the page, you'll notice that the ink bled in a few areas. So I switched to a pigment Micron 05. This one's a little bit dry, a little bit scratchy, and that is what I used to write out the sigils. Now these sigils represent the promise of magic. They're not active, which is, to my mind, one of the most wonderful things about sigils. You can prepare them in advance and then activate them when you need to. There are as many ways to activate sigils as there are the 5 elements. So if it's an earthy sigil, bury it in the ground. Air, blow on it. Fire, burn it. Yeah, that does destroy it, but so does burying it in the ground. Water, let it float away on the current. And spirit, trace the sigil with your finger. I will activate these one at a time, one now, and whenever else I feel that more reason is needed. I'll be seeing you next on the new moon, and we are going to be looking at 3 different ways to celebrate the Sabbath of Imbolc. So until then, Please remember that all are welcome here who come in mutual respect. Please click on the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Definitely click the notification bell because you would not have known about this video had you not. This was an extra. And the most important thing that you can do is share the channel on social media and share it with your like-minded friends. Until I see you again, be well, be strong, and be crafty. Bye-bye.